Hey, podcast fans, we've got big news. Tickets and tables for the 2025 Access Connects Leadership Forum are officially on sale.
That's right. On November 25th in Calgary, we're bringing together leaders from across industries for a full day of conversation, connection, and change.
You'll hear from world-class speakers and have the opportunity to join panels and fireside chats on the issues shaping leadership today, from navigating politics and gender equity to building inclusive workplaces and driving innovation in a changing economy.
The forum is more than just a conference. It's a chance to connect with peers, meet new allies, and walk away with insights you can apply immediately to your organization.
Tickets are limited and tables are selling fast.
Head to accessconnects.com to grab your tickets or reserve a table. And don't wait too long. This event sells out every year.
Join us November 25th. Be part of the conversation and be part of the change.
Okay, friends, welcome to The Quiet Part Out Loud. I'm Nuvyn.
And I'm Alex.
And we have a really interesting one to talk with you about today. And that is some interesting data that we stumbled upon related to divorce. And while households where the woman out-earns her husband account for just 16% of couples in America, they comprise a staggering 43% of all divorces.
Yeah, that's a doozy, isn't it? I can imagine that, this kind of uneven dynamic or unexpected switch in dynamic is really difficult to navigate in a relationship.
Well, I mean, we know that the topic of finances and economic instability or inequity, whatever it may be, is a source of strife amongst couples and is often cited as a reason why couples split. But I thought the data that was quite staggering around women as breadwinners and the likelihood or the stats around whether their relationship will end up in divorce.
I think that having, when we're talking about women's economic prosperity and participating in the workforce gives you more options. Having your own money gives you choice and gives you options. It gives you the ability to leave a difficult job or organization, but it also gives you the opportunity and the choice in a relationship. So another stat that came out of this was that 2/3 of these divorces are initiated by the women. So having your career and having that money gives you the choice to leave a relationship that's not working.
I think it's interesting that, when a woman has economic wherewithal and the ability to support herself independently of their relationship with their partner, when times get tough, does it make a decision to leave a marriage easier? I mean, it's never easy, but
No.
if you are economically, financially independent of your partner, does that choice to plot out and live your own life, is that easier to make when you have the financial means to support yourself? And I can't help but wonder too, like on the male side, is patriarchy, sadly still so intertwined with men's earning potential and with their identity or masculinity or self-confidence? Does that skew this kind of traditional viewpoint of marriage and the role of a wife in that marriage?
Yeah, I think that is a component, whether you're married to a feminist or not. There is this men's role is in the provider and the protector, and the women's role is the caregiver. And so I have witnessed and I have been in my own relationship. Really, like when you birth the children, there is this kind of falling into traditional roles, but then when you come out of that and the dynamic has changed, it must be difficult. And even I always say I married my husband not knowing what kind of dad he's going to be. I married my husband not knowing what our careers are going to be. And so when you grow together and maybe it works out differently than you planned, I can see it being tricky to navigate the change in dynamics.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think those that interpretation of traditional roles and responsibilities as well too. There was an interesting quote associated with this study that was talking about how like women need to get this concept of patriarchy out of their heads too, and that perhaps a woman's idea of power and a man just might be a guy who can push power, who can power a stroller. And, do we have our own assumptions around what a healthy relationship looks like, and where does economic dependency or collaboration come into play?
And I think that the ability for each side of the partnership to be flexible in what the relationship looks like is a key trait to have because you're not going to be the same person starting your relationship as you are in the middle or the end. And so, knowing having that sort of growth mindset and knowing that you're both going to be different people throughout the experience is I don't know. It might be hard to grieve what you expected your life to look like together.
So, does this then change the whole dynamics of a marriage and of relationships as women are equal participants in the workforce? Has that translated into equal participants in the home force, or are women still carrying a disproportionate weight associated with caring for the household or caring for children or caring for parents, and then still going out there and making money as equal partners with their partner in that? Does that foster resentment? I mean, clearly the data would suggest that it kind of does.
I also question if there is a cyclical way for each person to have um, the opportunity for their career to come first or for their career to shine. And I am drawing on a conversation I had in the context of a consulting practice where every year there's a succession planning for who's up for a partner, right? And what they have witnessed is this kind of fall off of women that want to be in that succession because being a partner at a consulting practice is a lot of pressure, a lot of work. And just in the context of a relationship, is there this one person steps back for the other one to step forward? And then is there a trade off or a switch that happens? Or does that one person forever, are they in the front? I'm really curious about what that cycle is like, or if it's a cycle.
Right. Or does that foster resentment or anger or, why am I the one supporting your career? I mean, I know lots of friends who have gone through divorces, and there is this element of, trying to manage a household where you have two driven professionals can get very difficult and
Yeah.
sensitive and touchy, and can foster discontent. And this data would suggest that maybe there comes a point where if women are out earning their in the data here, they looked at heterosexual relationships, their male partner, it gives them more choice to say, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, or I would be better on my own. So maybe version 2.0 of this podcast would be, does this concept of marriage even then just continue to evolve? There's some spiciness that we could get into here.
It is spicy, and I'm also curious, which is like a new spark in my brain, is this one of the reasons that the younger generations are deciding not to get married at all? I want to know what the data is on that. Like, what is the data on, these younger gens marriage stats?
Right? Or if you look at those who may define themselves as like particularly religious, I'm sure the data would suggest otherwise. And So this is interesting, but for those who are wanting to really dig into the details of this study, has been released online, and there is some really interesting chatter around what this means.
Yes. So, as always, thanks for tuning in and keep saying the quiet part out loud.
The Quiet Part Out Loud is produced by Access Connects and brought to you by. Oh, wait, is there a sponsorship opportunity there? Learn more at accessconnects.com.